Good evening and welcome to the school committee meeting of July 6, 2022. I'd like to call the meeting to order. As a reminder for all of our meetings, these meetings are being recorded and broadcast on WHCA. And if you could, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we only have two items on the agenda. The first one is an executive session, and the second item is to go through our strategic plan working groups, areas of focus, and select those. We will be going into executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically to determine the salary range for the Director of Business and Finance contract. If I could get a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
Okay, and this will be a roll call vote. Fred?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
David? Chris, yes. Glenn?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Okay, we are in executive session. We should be back in about 15 minutes or so, and we will be moving on to our next order of business when we return. Thank you. All right, we are back in session. And so we are going to move into moving forward with our discussion around our strategic plan working groups. So we did receive, you all got it, we did receive, I counted, I think, 4 public comments. We received an email from Sean Kane, Joshua Gray, Annie Gray, and Jennifer Cronin. At least those are the ones that I saw. So we thank all those folks that did send in public comments on feedback. I think, just to summarize, 3 were on start times, and then Sean's was relating to budget process in terms of pulling the 5-year plan in, as well as looking for budget efficiencies. But those other 3 emails were all really tied to supporting.
And one was
reviews.
about also the school to college thing.
Oh, sorry, I got it wrong. There was 2 start times, and one was about, continuing. It was a 2-parter. It was start times and college pass.
Right.
So that was the feedback, so we thank the public for doing that. So we're really going to move now into looking at what the school committee would like to focus on. And so all of you in your packets and on the screen can see, so what we attempted to do was take what we talked about and put them into categories. So just wanted to kind of pause, having given the opportunity for everyone to kind of look at that and make sure that that made sense in terms of how we grouped things. I think there were a couple of things that Jeff and I talked about pertaining to security and pertaining to one-to-one and technology that we kind of felt really there were more conversational things that we needed to look at, so we didn't put them on here. But really wanted to pause here and make sure before we start voting on these that we have the right things up there. So is everyone kind of clear? Or does that look good, or did we miss anything or need to change anything? Dawn?
Question on under student climate, culture, and support could include start times, and then you got start times in another
Correct.
column.
Correct.
So if someone were to vote for start times, which column would they choose? And is that ambiguous?
So yeah, thank you for clarifying. So what I tried to do was just take what we talked about as, right, because what I heard Chris clearly say was, I really want that included, and then I heard, I think it was you or others talk about, so I
Be
think
one column though?
we can set it up however you want. I think
I'd prefer that. So can I jump in here?
Yeah,
just
and
a
then
minute?
you want to talk about start times. So why don't we do that now?
Chris and I spoke a little about this. If we put start times in school climate, culture, and support, and start times, I think that's going to be all-encompassing of that group. So my suggestion, I was going to take start times on with my leadership team myself, based on public comment, based on what people have been emailing me, based on research that we've talked about since 2012. This was going to be one of my goals with my team this summer, and putting it forth to the committee with some, reporting out so that the committee can focus in on a couple other things, and this would be part of something that I would do. Now, I could bring committee members on board with me, but I think some of the areas, if you were to put start time in with climate culture, I think I'm going to say that's too overwhelming for me to put forward.
So, to clarify, right? So, because I want to make sure that this is clear for the public as well. So, when Jeff and I spoke, his point was it may be a more effective prioritization to get this moving quicker, for his team to actually look at the logistics of what it would take, rather than for us to spend the summer saying, hey, this makes sense. I think we've all seen the research. I think we had the conversations in the past, and it was budgetary concerns. So Jeff's volunteering to do this would move this forward as a higher priority, with the expectation that when we get together in August, we're still going to have our working groups, but we're going to add one where Jeff's going to start with the leadership team of, if you want to implement start times, this is what it would look like. So it kind of bumps this one to the top of the line, if we want to go that way. So
Just the layers to that is financial, and it's also contractual.
yes.
So, and then notifying parents if there's a change for the next school year. So it's not something that I can throw out there next February or March to parents with the calendar saying that, hey, by the way, all the elementaries are going to be going at 9:30. You know, that might not be fair for parents who've already established daycare. So I want to try to get this out there and seeing where we're at least a proposal out there by December, and impact bargaining with the association.
Right, but your initial proposal would be August if you took
Correct,
it.
correct,
Same with everyone.
correct. And
Okay,
just show
Chris,
where we're
and
at.
then Beth.
Yeah, so I am very much in support of the start time, later start times. So, and I'm thrilled to hear that you're going to take that on as one of your initiatives. Would it be fair or agreeable to eliminate that then?
Yes.
If everyone's good with that, then that would be the progressive next step. But we gotta kind of talk through that.
Well, I would propose we do.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah, I had read a little blurb underneath one of the attachments that we had, and it just said that, they were working on it. If start times, we don't need a discussion on it. I think we've all agreed with it. But what needs to be done is the stuff that we can't do. We don't know the busing logistics. We don't know the budget things as well as we should. So really, we'd have to defer to Jeff anyway. So my point being, I would like to see, and if that gets things faster,
Correct.
then let's do it that way. And, I agree, take it off. We have so many other things we can work on. If we know that the administrative team is solely working on that one, that would be great, in my opinion. I agree with Chris.
And they'd be working on other things, but
Oh, yeah. No, I
to your
know.
point, I think
Yeah.
Jeff's point was trying to coordinate us meeting to
Yeah.
do this when he can just meet
Yeah,
daily,
his-
weekly,
with his
whatever he
people.
needs to without us to get this moving faster was
With
kind of where he was.
transportation and
So you got it.
Yeah.
Someone else over here.
Yeah,
Glenn?
this doesn't really apply right now, but out of curiosity, the start time is based on busing availability? I mean, what?
So, yeah,
What?
long story short, in 2012, we cut the budget about $400,000 and realigned all our schools to a different time. Meaning the
Okay.
so we cut bus routes and buses.
Yep,
So the high schools went from a 7:40 start time to a 7:05 start time.
okay. And does that create a domino effect to all the other schools?
Correct. So
So
our
everybody's
elementaries-
gonna start later?
Potential,
No.
potential.
Okay, if you just push it forward, if you just.
I'd have to
add
look
an
at
hour here, you gotta
have to
add an
hold the
hour
whole
there.
picture.
So it's pretty complicated.
It's complex.
Okay,
Correct.
I want to better
Yep,
understand how
absolutely.
it works.
I think, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that where I teach in Pembroke, we changed our start and end times, and it was a 3-year process. It did not happen in 6 months. It was a very long process with all of those pieces. So I definitely think getting this off of here to let the administration do it, the people, transportation, because there are a lot of moving pieces that are not necessarily in our purview. I think that we're all in favor of it, but, there's only so much we can do with that, so.
Hillary, so it's, when you said 3 years, from when you decided to talk about it to when it actually happened, or this year we
It was
moved up
like 5
15
years
minutes,
from
next
when-
year we,
Yeah, so that's exactly what they did. It was 10-minute increments.
Okay.
For 3 years.
all right, I didn't know,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Michelle?
I'm switching gears here. I'm not sure who suggested the post-graduation readiness. I'm wondering if someone wants to explain a little bit more.
Yeah,
what
so
that
that,
is?
yeah, so that, again, thank you for clarifying. So
Sure.
that was an attempt to combine what I proposed and what Beth proposed into one. So listening to her comments, when I had talked about early college, she had talked about, and she literally said like, well, they could kind of be combined into one. So we can definitely change the wording, but the essence of that was really to focus on what Beth had shared with getting kids ready for college and career.
Skills.
And what I had suggested with early college. So that the scope of that one would be those two initiatives. Again, we can kind of change the name. That was my attempt to kind of
Yeah.
mush them together rather than to have two independent ones. But again, we can have, this is where we all talk. We can have two independent ones,
I think-
It just seemed like they
I think
fit, so
they-
that's,
It
that's
goes
why.
hand in hand,
I
it
think
makes
so.
sense.
So thank you for asking the question. Absolutely, thank you. Chris?
So I just want to clarify, I think I know the answer, but this is not shelving this, this is
This is
not,
prioritizing
It's
it.
prioritizing, it's not kicking the
Right.
can down the
No.
road kind of thing. So I just want to make that clear that I would only be in support of doing that if it was prioritizing.
I haven't done my goals yet,
Yeah.
but this will be one of my goals
Right.
this year.
Thank you.
So it'll be written out,
Thank you.
Fred?
if approved by the committee.
You know, I just want to clarify, in my mind, what we're going to do is meet into smaller groups, and we're going to look at the individual items, so certain groups will get one item, another group will get another item, and then in August, we'll discuss, we'll prioritize.
We present them to all of
And
us.
we will have the one
Whatever we call
quote-unquote
it.
goal.
Or two.
Unfortunately, in today's world, some of it's gonna be financial. What can and can't we do? Logistics, what can and can't we do? And then also, perhaps what is the greater good? We know start times, and we know that, the studies that are out there, some conflicts, some differences, but a majority of the studies say if you can start later, you're better, for the high school. But are you better as, maybe we gotta play King Solomon. Are you better to take care of 4 grades than to look at a robust related arts that would impact 8 grades of children? And what's the associated costs and what can we realistically do, et cetera. I mean, in a perfect world, we could just say, yeah, let's just do everything, but, so that's what we're gonna do in August, correct?
Yep, so basically, kind of what's on the table now is we would take start times, we would prioritize it with the administration team, right? So that takes us out of trying to set up meetings on Wednesday nights or Thursday nights or Friday mornings or Saturday mornings for that to happen. And remember, these were not public meetings. We just got together in working groups and then we shared them at that August.
Looking at the 17th or the 24th.
We're planning on sharing them on the August 17th meeting. So we would have our collective school committee presentations and then Jeff would have one on behalf of the leadership team of, hey, this is what we think we can do for start times. That, with all of these, it's a conversation, right? So we're doing analysis, we're sharing ideas. It doesn't mean we're necessarily sitting here on August 17th and saying, here's our initiative and here's our 5-step plan that we're rolling out like in the next 90 days. It's to understand and to build that longer term plan.
Just like
with
we
the
did
exception of start times, which we're trying to get some more teeth to. So these other ones may not necessarily be like, well, we have to do this year. Early education is a perfect example. We talked about kindergarten, we talked about pre-K. We did kindergarten, maybe there's more conversations around pre-K. So that's kind of what we've done in the past, if that makes sense. Don?
So I'm a little uneasy about pulling out start times and not having it as a vote. I know I've heard some of you say, I think we're all in agreement. I don't know that that's the case. I mean, at the last meeting, I advocated for that. I didn't hear anyone else. Chris did speak to it a little bit. So last year we had full day kindergarten, which I think we were all overwhelmingly in support of, and we still had a working group for full day K that David and myself and Fred were on with the superintendent. So I just, I appreciate that you're making it a priority and you're saying you're elevating it and you're going to work on it solely with leadership. I'm not sure why the committee is not being invited to work along with that. And I would say, I'm sorry.
Hold on, Lon.
still
Yeah,
have the
I
floor.
just want to get your attention.
I don't think there's any research out there that conflicts with the fact that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends 8:30 or later. So I don't think there's any study, if you can show me, that says 7:05 is okay for students to start, first of all. So that's how I feel about pulling this out and not having it be part of the vote. I think I would like to see it included. It's on the spreadsheet. Maybe it means if it's number one amongst all our votes, then it still gets elevated to the superintendent. But I don't know why we're not able to vote on it.
Sure. Chris?
I thought I heard you say you'd be willing to take in some committee members to help work with you on this, which would alleviate some of that concern, I think. But this is an example, I think, of us working collaboratively together to be more efficient, right? To be able to get into this and more intensive, maybe focus attention in a more timely manner, right? So we're going to be, again, we're not shelving it. We're going to continue to be involved. So I don't have any problem with you know, your administration taking the lead on this and including some of us in the process and reporting back to us. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Sure. David and then Fred.
So I can kind of see, you know, both perspectives of where everyone's at, and I think it may be beneficial if, you know, if us as a committee feels that start times is such a priority that we will let the administration and either, you know, a committee member or two be on board to work on this. Maybe let's just make a motion, have it as a vote, and then after that we vote on our top three from there. That way, you know, everyone votes and agrees upon this is what we want to do with start times, this is where we're at, this is the expectation of the administration, and then also the opportunity for committee members is there to join on board to work on this part. So I just figured that might be beneficial if we just have it on the record as a vote. That way it is voted on, and then we can work on what is left afterwards.
I'd like to make a motion to have the superintendent take the lead on this issue and include members of the school committee.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Fred?
From what I can gather, and I can speak for myself, and I'll say it right now, I'm in favor of having a later school time. That's not an issue in my mind. I think it is beneficial. I think that if we have committee members on the team that's looking into this, all it can do is maybe bog them down and slow them down when they want to evaluate and discuss what the contracts are. When as the committee's meeting and you're coming up with, well, what about this and what about that? Okay, well, we'll get back to that. We are in the process. And I don't mean to put words in Jeff's mouth, but I think he's in greater favor than, or as great a favor as all of us as to having a later school start time. I think the most important part of what his team would do would be work out all the logistics and report those logistics back to us in August. And I think, you know, I know my own schedule, but no one's as crazy as I am lately. You know, all we would do is slow you guys down. Now, you could post your meeting and invite us, I guess, you know, if anyone could make it, but I would hate to see you not be able to have a meeting and not be able to try and vet something out because a school committee member can't make it. And we have a short period of time. It's July, you know, whatever it is already.
So I think in the conversation we had, I'm glad that this is a priority, right? That we're kind of pushing this as a motion and it's coming to the top. But I guess I would suggest if you're going to invite school committee members, then they need to meet on your schedule. So, right, this is the conversation we had, right? It is hard. Look, we all have other things to do, right? We all have jobs. We all have other things. We are volunteers. So our schedules are not, to Fred's point, always conducive to, hey, 10 o'clock tomorrow, we're meeting for 2 hours. So as long as the school committees that want to participate can do that, then I think that's totally fine, because I think that's the commitment we're going to need. The whole point of this is to not say, we're going to leave here tonight, we're going to schedule a meeting in 2 weeks, then we're going to try, like, we've already wasted 2 weeks. So I think if, as a committee, if I'm all for inclusion, that is not my concern at all. I would love to have participation. I don't want to have more than 2, and I don't want it to be public meetings, because that's not what we've done in the past. That's not the spirit of these working groups. That's my 2 cents. But I do think if we have school committees that are going to, members that are going to participate, then they have to be able to say, I'm going to open my schedule up, and within 2 days notice, if you tell me to be there, I'm going to be there whenever you tell me. And as long as we can do that, then I'm good. So that's my 2 cents on it. And then I had David and Chris.
So I think I have an idea that might be a solution to Fred's concerns and your concerns. Hear me out, right? So last year when we did ECE, we didn't have a subcommittee, we had an advisory committee. And the difference that I talked about last year with the advisory committee to the subcommittee is that the advisory committee could have school committee members work with staff, the administration's team, leadership team. However, they're not restrained by necessarily the requirements of the open meeting law. So for example, if a committee member couldn't make it to that advisory meeting, that doesn't prevent Jeff and his leadership team from being able to do what they need to do. So for example, Jeff could be working with the leadership team and they could be meeting daily to talk about start times, but then we could still be having advisory committee meetings where the school committee member or two meet and then they basically touch base and talk about what's going on, and that committee member could report back with the superintendent. So basically I see the concerns, but we have a way that will provide the flexibility while also having the communication between the leadership team and the school committee by just turning into advisory committee, and we already did last year with ECE, and what came out of it was universal full-day kindergarten. So just food for thought, we could do that. So by approving this motion, we could also have an advisory committee and then go from there and then do that, and that kind of alleviates everyone's concerns while having the flexibility.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, right? So we did not create subcommittees for working groups.
Right.
Those were not subcommittees. We got, because we wanted the flexibility. I mean, I remember sitting here on a Saturday morning with some of you folks, it was, right? And we just met.
July 4th?
Yeah, it was July 4th, right? You remember, you were here.
Point of clarification though.
Right, so what my point is, the working groups, right? Yeah, signed up.
Another thing.
Right, so the working groups that we're talking about here, the one that Jeff is talking about, which would be a working group, is just gonna meet over the next several weeks and then present on August 17th. Once we get to August 17th, then we can do whatever we want. We can create subcommittees, advisory committees, et cetera.
That's what I'm saying. So point being is when EC had the working groups, it then became a subcommittee.
Correct.
We approached the school committee to turn it into an advisory committee. So my point being is if this is the priority and we're going to bypass that sense and give it straight to the superintendent and not have the working group and just continually meeting because it's the priority, then we can actually skip that step and make it an advisory and then determine what needs to be a subcommittee and what not in August for the other three. So we can actually just bypass that and get that done and start going in that direction right now. That's my point. That's the difference I'm trying to say.
Okay, Fred?
And with all due respect to everybody, but I'm including myself in this, what else could a school committee member realistically add to Jeff's group
Come on.
as they're doing the logistics? I think the desire is completely there. It's just a matter of the logistics and how things can fit. And, you know, to me, I have the confidence in the administration.
So do you have any concerns in including a couple school committee members in the working groups? You just need to show up when you tell them to.
Time, because my transportation people
Let's not
work
overcomplicate.
6 to 2, you know, and that's their schedule, so it can't be at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't have them, and they're salaried, but they're a different type of salaried employee. They're not central admin. So John and I are flexible. John and I are going to be on the team. Karen Villanueva, the assistant transportation director. That's my core group right at this point. But I'm okay with any type of school committee people on board to add thoughts or add, you know, perspective. I live the 705 piece, so, you know, Fred, I'm the biggest proponent of it. I lived it for 6-7 years. It's difficult. It's financial, but it's also contractual, you know, and there's things that we just have to go through the process. But yeah, I'm wide open to anybody bringing stuff to the table. It's just a matter of logistics for me in the summertime. That's a crunch, and then putting it forward so that the committee can say, yeah, this is a viable option for you to continue to work on during the school year.
Chris?
Sorry to be impatient, but I think I was after David, and you skipped over me, so.
Sorry. I did.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Get me.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, coming right back to you.
I wish I had said in my motion for us to appoint a couple members, right? And just be done with it. Take some volunteers and appoint, you know, to Jeff, and that's it. I mean, I don't see any problem with that. Jeff's just said as much.
Yep.
Glenn?
Just, I don't know how it all works, because, like I said, just in my opinion, like Fred said, our place is to decide whether to do it or not to do it. But the how to do it really isn't it's not us. That's what we're not here for, right? Yeah. Like, the logistics. That's not is it?
You went to charting the course, right? That's right. We're not management, right? I think that's
Already
right.
got it. Thank you.
That is yes, I think that is a fair
I think
point.
I might have fell asleep at that.
I forgot. If I could.
It was a long day.
Chris, briefly, and then.
Yeah, briefly,
get back
the
to
question, what can we do, what more can we do? What we can continue to do, when we're at our best, is to listen to our constituents, include the voices in our deliberation and how we, effectively move forward on these issues. So I would absolutely think that we could continue to add something as members of the committee.
Can you clarify the motion that we have on the floor, Michelle?
Good luck with me.
Remember it.
I made a motion to have the superintendent take the lead on changing the start times and include members of the school committee, seconded by David.
And include members of the school committee. So you've already done that.
Yep. Well, I did that.
Okay.
Last
So-
year, we did post the ECE advisory committee because I think it's subject to open meeting law, but we have to check that, and that's why I think we posted it.
But I think we did that after we
Yes, we did,
finished the
yes.
working group. So we're kind of skipping ahead here. Like we're already on step two. Step one is just the working groups, right? We're just trying to figure out where are we going to do our research and analysis. The thing with start times is I think we've already gotten a lot of research and analysis. So we're kind of logically and naturally just skipping ahead. So I'm going to defer to the committee. We had not planned on public comment tonight. If you would like to do it, I'm happy to open it up. But otherwise, we're going to keep moving.
Keep moving, please.
I don't think we take a couple minutes, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
If they show up.
All right, so can we just keep it brief, gentlemen? And I'm going to actually recognize John first because he was up first, if you don't mind.
Okay, as
So-
long as it's short.
Yes, if you could just keep it succinct, please.
Very quick.
Yes.
This start times is extremely basic. It's going to be about busing. It's going to be about redoing the busing schedules, the routes, all of that to make it work. None of you guys know anything about that. His group does that. What are you going to sit there and watch him run the routes? I mean, let him do his work. Let him come back to you in August and see what the impact is. Can we get it so that we can rework it so that we can afford it, or it's going to cost us this much? Simple.
Thank you, John. Sean, did you have something similar? Thank you. All right, so we do have a motion. I think it's pretty clear. And can you read the last part again? It was, and include school committee members?
Yep. To have the superintendent take the lead on changing start times and include members of the school committee.
Great. So I think including school committee members is open enough to flexibility that we could probably vote this as a priority. We could probably vote our other items, and then we can kind of come back to, are we comfortable letting Jeff and team present this and then coming back in August, or do we want to include people depending on what else we select? Because again, depending on what else we select may dictate that. It may make sense to divide and conquer, it may not, depending on how many ideas kind of bubble up to the surface. So any other further discussion on this motion? Otherwise, we're going to move to a vote. All right. All those in favor? Unanimous. Fantastic.
No.
Oh, sorry. Opposed? Sorry. Abstaining. Opposed. Opposed. All right. So, so sorry.
Doesn't matter.
So I said opposed. You said yes. So.
Fine.
All right. So 9-1-0. Sorry. Okay. So the motion carries. So that will be an area
Now
of
can we
focus.
write the numbers?
Now we can actually vote on the other items. So if you will indulge me, I am going to remove, let's remove could include start times from the student climate and support. Yes, agreed, because we already dealt with it.
Yep.
And we can hide uniform start times here because we've already agreed to prioritize it. Yes, is everyone okay?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So that leaves us with, Michelle's doing the same, fantastic. So that leaves us with robust K through 8 related arts, which would include foreign language, STEM and 21st century learning, student climate culture and support, post-graduation readiness, which would include early college and work initiatives, and early childhood education. Everyone's clear? Yes, no?
Question.
Yeah.
Regarding post-grad readiness,
Yep.
is that currently on the district strategic plan?
So it's the hallmarks. We point them to the hallmarks. So if you pull up the district strategic plan, there are 4 hallmarks. 1 is excellence in social emotional learning, and 2 is a pre-K-12 system of teaching and learning. So the thinking is that would apply to both of those. Obviously, if you have kids that are feeling good about doing early college and some of those things, it would fit.
Okay. It's just the way I read it, our objective, based on our proposal, is, to identify areas that fall within our strategic plan. So I get it, that's an education piece. I just didn't know that was ever explicit in our strategic plan, to offer at the high school level, college classes, and that's what you're talking about, right? Like that's,
Yeah, that and
Anyone else have a
working,
concern with
like
that, or
getting
we're
like
okay
a
leaving it
CNA
on?
and things like
Well, it's like
that.
the pathways, right? Because Dr. Jones, when he spoke about the school improvement plan, he spoke about the pathways perhaps. And I remember him talking about a grant through DESE for the pathways. So the pathways will allow students to graduate with certificates in early childhood ed, accounting, computer
CNA,
science.
CNA.
Yeah, things like that. So I think
Potentially.
it's
I
that.
guess I'm just
right.
pointing directly to the strategic plan. I know Dr. Jones has that initiative among his,
Doesn't that
what
doesn't
he's
fall to
doing, but,
us.
yeah. I mean, like we have specifically, you know, we had full day K, we have robust related arts on here as pieces, so that's, just looking for that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're going to follow the strategic plan, then we just need to vote on the strategic plan, right? So I think the whole point of the initiative is to share different ideas that fall within the hallmarks, because this is the exact same sheet we used last year, and we aligned everything to the hallmarks, not to the strategic plan initiatives.
Okay.
Okay.
What am I doing here?
So,
Number
yeah,
one, two.
so we're going to make it super simple, right? All you have to do is think for a second.
can
So,
do that.
yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to have everyone go around and we're going to ask for their first choice of those
Okay.
5 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The
just
top
pick.
5.
Just pick. So when we get to you, we're going to start with Steve, so he can start to think about it.
Okay.
But when we get to you, we're going to say, Glenn, what is your first choice? And you're just going to pick one of those 5.
Got it.
We'll put a 3 in that column. That'll count for 3 points. We'll all go around, then we'll go around and do our second place votes, and then we'll go around and do our third place votes. Second place is worth 2, third place is worth 1. Then when we're done, we're just going to go to the bottom and we're going to see what have the most points. And from that, we'll make a determination. Do we want to have 2 working groups? Do we want to have 3 working groups? What do we want to have? No working groups? What do we want to do? Probably 2 or 3, I would guess. So it's a very simple process, but it should be fairly easy to follow. So does that make sense? Everyone's good? Okay. Steve, since I gave you advance notice, do you
Sure,
mind voting first? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to put your...
Related arts is first.
Related arts is first, so that's a 3 for Steve. Okay, Michelle, where would you like to go?
Related arts is a first for me as well.
Okay, robust related arts. Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
If we start going too fast, let me know, Michelle. Don?
Related arts.
Okay. Glenn?
Start time.
So we took start time off.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, we're live here, up here.
Okay, post-graduation.
Okay, got it. 3 points to that. I'm going to also do, 1 second, I put it in the wrong spot. I'm going to also do post-graduation readiness. David?
Student climate, culture, and support.
That's a 2. Hillary?
Robust related arts.
Chris?
Student climate, culture, and support.
Beth?
Post-grad.
Michelle, you doing okay so far? All right, because I'm frozen, so hold on a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Beth, you said
Post-grad.
post-grad. Okay, I'm back alive again. And then Fred?
Related arts.
Related arts. Okay. Now we're going to go around and just say, what's your next choice? So please don't pick the same one. The sheet will not handle that. You got to pick a different one. Fred, where would you, we'll go around the other way.
Going down the line, STEM.
STEM for 2 for Fred. It's like Jeopardy. Beth?
Robust related arts.
Robust related arts for Beth. Chris?
Post-graduation.
Graduation. Michelle, we're still good so far? Okay. Hillary?
Post-grad readiness.
Post-grad readiness. David?
Post-grad readiness.
Okay. I'm going to do student climate, culture, and support. Glenn?
Robust arts.
Robust arts. Dawn?
ECE.
Early childhood education. Yeah, ECE. Michelle?
My second choice is student climate, culture, and support.
Got it. And Steve?
STEM. STEM.
STEM? Okay, got
Yes.
it. Okay, got it. And because I'm not smart enough to start in the middle, Steve, your third place vote, please.
Student climate, culture, and support.
Student climate, culture, and support. That's 1. Okay. Michelle.
For me, it's post-grad.
Post-grad 1. Dawn?
Student climate.
Student climate. Glenn?
STEM.
Got it. For my third one, I'm gonna do ECE, early childhood, Michelle. David?
Robust related arts.
Robust related arts for David. Hillary?
Climate, culture.
Oh, I messed up. Climate and culture. Why do I have a 3 for you there? Okay. Chris?
Robust K through 8.
Robust K through 8. Beth?
Student climate?
Student climate. And Fred?
Post-grad.
Post-grad. Okay. So, all right, good. The little number on the right should add up to 60 because it's adding all these together, so that's good. So we got 60 points awarded. And so I think we have the same numbers. Yeah, we do. So we have first place with 21 total points is the related arts, robust K through 8 related arts. Second, we have the post-graduation readiness. And third, we have student climate, culture, and support. And just looking at the numbers, again, I'm not that smart, but 21, 17, and 14 seem pretty close. So we can do as many of these as you want, but just to me, looking at the numbers, it seems like 3 of these are kind of popping out. So does that make sense to do those 3 as our areas of focus for the summer working group?
Yeah, works for me.
Outstanding. So then the last thing we have to do, let me make sure I
Who
got,
wants to be on the working group?
is who wants to be on what. So one of the things we did last year is Jeff, George, and I helped moderate the group. So we just kind of organized the agenda, kind of took notes and scheduled the meetings, but it was free form. We did that after the meeting, so we'll do that after, and we might even grab a few minutes tonight to try and organize that. But so that'll happen after this meeting. But for this meeting, we need to try and get roughly 3 groups. So there are 10 of us. We can probably do 3, 3, and 4 would be wonderful. Actually, that would be really nice. We could, if we had to, yeah, that would be really nice. 3, 3, and 4, if we can do that. So I'm gonna give folks a second to kind of look at what's here. And then, let's see, can I do this? A through 8, SCC, and postgrad. So, how do we want to do this? Do we want to go like first choice and everyone kind of share their first choice and see where that lines out, and then if we want to change
Like we did
it?
before.
What's that?
You asked us before what we wanted, one of the last meetings, and it worked out okay.
Yeah, we'll kind of go around, ask your first choice, and maybe it'll work out. Steve, so tentatively, we're not locking anyone in.
Right, the robust K through 8.
Michelle?
Robust K through 8.
Dawn?
Student climate.
Glenn?
I'll go student climate.
I'll do post-grad. David?
Student climate.
Hillary?
Probably the robust K to 8.
Chris?
Student climate.
Beth?
Post-grad.
Fred?
I would love to do robust K through 8, but I'll throw you a caveat. If you want to throw me on whatever group you want 4 on, just knowing my time commitment
Yep.
can be sketchy with my travel and,
So, well, you said you'd love to do K through 8. Is that what you said initially?
yeah.
Okay. So right now we have tentatively, no one's locked in, we just asked for choices. We have Steve, Michelle, and Hillary on K through 8. We have 4 people on student climate, so that one's pretty heavily populated. And then for postgraduate, it's just myself and Beth. So ideally, between Fred, Steve, Michelle, and Hillary, we would have 1 person on postgrad and 3 of you on K through 8. So anyone feel passionately?
I would do post-grad,
If you do postgrad, then we've solved.
you know, but with the caveat, I will do my absolute
Yes.
best to make meetings.
I get it, Fred, it's
But
hard.
if I'm in, like, Seattle,
We'll come visit.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
you,
As long as you pay for the airfare, we'll come.
yeah, we'll come.
Beth and I'll come.
Yeah,
Seattle's beautiful. I love it. I like Seattle.
looked
I
at
like
the
Seattle.
airfares,
All right,
Forget it.
good.
You got it.
So Michelle, we have Steve, Michelle, and Hillary on K through 8. We have Dawn, Glenn, David, and Chris Scriven on student climate, culture, and support. And then we have myself, Beth, and Fred on postgrad. So, like I said, Jeff and I will get together, we'll figure out who's gonna help coordinate this, and then look to try and meet sooner rather than later, because it's gonna be really important. I know vacations are crazy, and summer's crazy, and Fred's travel schedule is crazy. But the sooner we can kind of meet, because what we did last year, I think every group was kind of met, and then we kind of broke apart, and everyone did some independent research and analysis, and then came back. So if we can meet, everyone does their thing, gets their ideas together. That usually takes a little bit of time, but it's important to meet, because otherwise, we don't meet for 2 weeks, and then you need 2 weeks to collect it. We're going to be on August 17th rather quickly. So that was all we had on the agenda tonight. Correct. So again,
Motion to adjourn?
thank you very much. Yes, entertaining.
Second?
Next meeting will be August 17th. Every group will be presenting something. And we had a second, yes?
Yeah,
That'll be the only thing on the agenda.
You're gonna get us
Organized.
organized.
Yeah.
On the subgroups?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
That one's unanimous.
Thanks, folks.
Great, thank you. Appreciate everyone's.
So I'll just get an email.